Now, just a quick word from our sponsors.
As people who love badminton, we all know that it's not just about the sport itself. It's about the connections you make and the things that it teaches you as a person that you're able to bring to all of the other parts of your life. That's why we want to introduce you to the book Mirror of Magico, written by Al Liao, a former Taiwanese national badminton player who is as passionate about badminton as us. For those who love Harry Potter, you want to give this one a read, because Al has authored a fantasy story where 3 different characters with varying personalities go on a journey of adventure and learning. And they realize that things don't just happen to you, they happen because of you. And by being yourself and spending time in your dreams, you can conquer the evils and be the best version of yourself. So make sure you check it out. Mirror of Magico, written by Al Liao. You can find it in all leading bookstores, and we'll leave the link in the podcast description.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Badminton Lights Out, a feature of the Badminton podcast,
where we take you behind the scenes of high performance badminton.
I'm Gronya.
And I'm Justine. Let's dive into it. Before we start our topic, we would like to share a fact each for the day. So, Gron, what's your fact?
My fact is that the Kaldi, a 9th century legendary Ethiopian Sufi goat herder in Ethiopia, is credited for discovering coffee when he observed his goats got excited after eating beans from a coffee plant.
Good Googling.
Yeah, that was my own fact. It just popped into my head out of nowhere.
This one popped into my head this morning, actually. I was like to Dylan, did you know nothing rhymes with the word orange? So that's my fact. I don't know if it's actually true. Well, it can't be a fact if it's not true.
I think there's 3 words. I think silver is another one, and then there's another word that nothing rhymes with. I'm pretty sure there's 3. But yeah, I think silver is one.
Oh, I just know that Eminem once said in an interview, you have to be creative with your rhymes, and orange, for him to rhyme with orange, he would be like orange you, like orange you, like super creative man. Anyway, take it away, Gron.
All right, so let's get into our topic, which is how to train during lockdown. Today we're going to talk about how to train during lockdown.
Those are cute.
We got to stop relying on these notes so much. Okay. Let me refocus. All right, let's get into our topic for the day, which is how to train during lockdown. So if you don't know, right now, Justine is in a New Zealand lockdown and I am in a Melbourne lockdown. How's it going for you, Juzzy?
Our lockdown is more intense than yours from what I've heard, because you guys can have takeaways. Meanwhile, we actually can't order any food or takeaways, like hot food, nothing actually. Yeah, so the only place we can go to is just a supermarket, which is so sad because I love eating out and my poke bowl, as I think I mentioned in our first intro interviews. I really miss that. And yeah, what about you, Gron? What can you do during your lockdown?
So for me, it's not too bad because I have a permit where I can still train. So able to still train, just, limited with being able to go out to restaurants, see friends, all that kind of stuff. So outside of training, pretty much just at home. My friend was telling me that in New Zealand, he tried to go to a petrol station to get a coffee and you weren't even allowed to get a coffee there. All you can get is petrol.
Yeah, all you can get is petrol, and they try and not accept cash. So everything just has to be PayWave or card. It's crazy. But I miss the badminton hall.
Yeah. No, it is tough for everyone that can't get on court for such a long period of time, which is why we're going to dive into a few topics about how you can manage it when you're training in lockdown and how to, find some things to improve on and things to work on and keep you entertained.
Exactly. So obviously not everyone gets equipment at home. Like not everybody has a home gym like behind you. But I actually think, is that the result of the first lockdown that now you have a home gym? Because I'm pretty sure the first lockdown nobody was expected to were expecting to be at home and work out for so long because everybody depended so much on commercial gyms, right? So during the first lockdown, let's just say, I think because that was probably the most relatable out of for everyone in general. How did you manage to get some training equipment? Because when we went into lockdown, we got given, I think, 2 to 3 days to settle into the period
Sort your
we were
shit
about to
out.
settle. Yeah, exactly. So how did you manage to sort your equipment once you found out you were going to lockdown?
So I reached out to a couple of businesses, people, schools, things that I knew that had equipment. So initially I got quite a lot of equipment from my old high school that have a gym. So they were obviously closed during that first lockdown, and they gave me a bike, a bunch of weights, a bench, that kind of thing. So they were super generous with that. And then my actual gym, the Victorian Institute of Sport, they lent out a bit of equipment as well, but they had a million athletes to give it all out to. So you kind of, it was just first come, first serve, and you just took what you really needed. You didn't get too much. And then during that whole period, that's when I kind of started my brand partnership with Nirvana Tech, who provided the big rack behind me and like the dumbbells as well. So yeah, because of those things, I definitely set up this home gym, and I think a lot of people have done that now. And I actually wonder if the like commercial gym memberships have decreased that much. Or
Yeah.
I know some people, like, they love going back to the gym, so it's like the first thing they do when they're out of lockdown. But
Yeah.
others are probably just like, oh, like I didn't actually need it in the first place. Maybe.
Yeah, so true. In my first lockdown, I decided to actually leave Auckland, which is where the national training base is and stuff, or where I've lived. And I decided to go back to Christchurch and live with my family, which I was like, oh, perfect opportunity, kind of holiday. But obviously, exercise wasn't really a priority for my family in Christchurch. So when I got to lockdown, I really had to be creative. Like for weights, for squats, I had to wear like a backpack and put in heaps of 1 liter bottles and like fill that with water, and just to add some more weights instead of just doing body weights all the time. But yeah, I'm sure everybody has books they can also use as weights, and body weights is just as strong. I mean, have you seen all those calisthenics people? They're crazy.
yeah
So,
There's definitely still so many things you can do, and we're going to get into a few more details about them.
Now, just a quick word from our sponsors.
The Badminton Podcast is brought to you by Volant. Volant was first born out of our frustration with the confusing, bright, and unsightly clothes and equipment that we saw in the badminton world. But now it's so much more than that. Our mission is to accelerate the growth of badminton by providing players with products that enhance their love for the sport. All in all, it's high quality gear that makes you look and feel great on and off the court. So make sure you check us out at volantbadminton.com and follow us on our socials at volantbadminton.
So in terms of your training, what was the hardest for you to maintain in lockdown?
motivation for sure. And I think because you're not surrounded with the rest of your team that you work out with, again, motivation, and also just finding exercises and just pushing yourself to do it. I think that was hard. And also because when you're not in the gym, you just have to be so much more creative with your workout unless you've already been given a program, like, what about you? What was the hardest thing to do for you?
Yeah, I think it's also hard to like keep a routine because you have a lot of free time. So you can kind of just be like, oh, I'll do it later, or I'll do it another day. And then that's when you can kind of just, blob for a few days, or just kind of get guilty, feel guilty from being a bit lazy, that kind of thing. And also when you're in a lockdown, there is so many unknowns, especially around, the future tournaments, all that kind of stuff. And primarily, as an athlete, that's what you're training towards. So when that's up in the air, you're kind of like, oh, what am I actually training for at this moment? And, if doesn't really make a difference if I'm giving 100% my session or if I'm just going through the motions. So I think I find like goal setting and also like keeping a routine to be two things that really help with motivation during lockdowns.
Yeah, which we can move on to. So I guess we can talk about what made lockdown easy for us, like how, for example, like you said, with our motivation levels, like how did you do your goal setting to make sure that you were in a routine? How did you set a routine? We can start with that actually. Like, how did you stick to it? How did you plan it? And then,
when I was at home during the first lockdown, I picked up some more uni subjects. So that was kind of, I'd structure my week around like those a bit more because they were the set things more so, whereas everything else was up in the air and you can do it whenever you want. You know, you can do an 11 p.m. huge weight session, or you can go for a run at like 6 a.m. But I pretty much always tried to get moving at like 7 a.m. each day just to keep that that schedule. And I just find when I exercise like first thing in the morning, I'm just in a better mindset, feeling like I've already achieved something. So I would usually start with a walk or run in the morning. And the first lockdown is when I started running a lot more as well. So typically I don't run much because I get so much impact from on court, but because I wasn't on court, I incorporated running again. And then with my strength coach, we scheduled like more gym sessions. So my primary focus during that period was to gain strength. So that kind of gave me a new goal that I could work towards aside from a badminton specific goal. So I found that really helpful. And I think a big thing that really helped is having a coach or somebody give me something, like telling me to do this. And then I feel more obligated and more accountable to actually follow through. Whereas if it's just your own thing, then you can just slack off more easily. You can change it. How about you? What's helping keep you on track right now?
I'm just trying to relate it back to the first lockdown because I believe that was like the hardest one for me. I think setting a routine definitely helps, because I remember when we went into lockdown and I woke up maybe just naturally around 5:30 or 5, because usually our trainings would be at 6, right? I woke up and I was like, oh, I don't actually have to do anything right now because I don't have to travel anywhere. I don't have to eat breakfast straight away. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll just stay in bed, So I probably did that for a few days. And then eventually I was like, okay, nah. Like I feel myself blobbing. I like, it's like, I don't know, forming, those memory foam things. Like I feel like I made a foam on my bed and like, okay, no, I actually have to do something instead of just like scrolling. Oh my, okay, TikTok. Everybody knows about TikTok. I actually had to delete TikTok because the algorithm is just too strong. Like it knows me way too well.
You can't beat the algorithm.
No, I can't beat it. So I was always in bed and I was like, no, I can't do this. By the time it's like 11, I'm like, no, I actually have to get up. And it's so crazy to think that I was already up at 5:30 and I didn't really, work out until 11 just because there was just no structure. So once I was like, no, I have to work out at this time and then at this time. And it was like a non-negotiable thing. Have you ever talked about non-negotiables? It's like you have to do it. It's like kind of like work, except this time you just have to be accountable for yourself. So I made my training sessions like a non-negotiable thing. And that's kind of what helped me get through it, because once I had the routine, then it was easier to do. But setting the routine and sticking to it is probably the hardest part of it. It was good at the time. I didn't really have my own like strength and conditioning coach at the first lockdown. So what I did was I like grabbed there's so many Instagram workouts out there, and it's like what everyone can do. And you posted some Instagram workouts too, so that was really good. And I think what I did was, okay, this is what I'll be doing for this day, and just setting those up. And if you have a spreadsheet, it's so much easier to see it all in front of you to follow instead of like mentally putting it down. I know it sounds like you trust yourself, but mentally writing it down and seeing it is so much easier. So that's one thing you guys can do. Right? Yeah. Do you agree, Ron?
Yeah, definitely agree. I'm a big advocate for writing stuff down and having it visually, even like having a whiteboard and having it in front of you. And then, maybe other people in your family will see it and be like, have you done that workout? And like you get the satisfaction of like ticking it off and that kind of thing. But also I found, relating it back to like the hotel quarantines I've done, because I've done 3 of them, also like organizing to work out at a certain time with a friend, like even if it's on FaceTime or like with you when you're with your family doing a workout with your dad or something. I'm sure that also helped make it less boring and also like lock in that time where you have to do it kind of thing.
Yeah. And there's actually a lot of like free programs out there that you can trial just to see which one works for you. And
Justine and I are all about the free trials.
The free trials.
Using the system. We are not loyal.
Not loyal. Making new emails. Like, nah, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Kidding. Justine at 20differentemails.com.
Yeah. So you mentioned about like getting your strength and conditioning coach, yeah, so to help you find a program. What would you recommend for people who don't have a strength and conditioning coach?
I think if you have like a squad, I think it's awesome if you can set up to do like, 3 times a week, a session with a squad on Zoom or something like that. Even if it's your coach writing a program, or even if you follow like another online workout, maybe just having like that get together of that team vibe, and kind of keeping that schedule again like we talked about. I think that's awesome. And we kind of had a group chat where if you tried like a new running program or some other workout, you could post it there for others to see as well, even if you weren't doing it with them, just to kind of share inspiration and just I guess show each other that you're still kind of training towards something, and to kind of keep you motivated to try and keep up with the others, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, it's definitely easier to do things as a group. Badminton North Harbour actually is doing so well during this lockdown right now, because our coach actually organizes a Zoom session with like the squads Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, which I think is really cool. And they all can just do it in like meter by meter, or if not smaller place. Yeah. Which I think you do as well for schools, right, Ron?
Yeah. So this week I started doing some like online badminton workouts and like little skill things for a primary school. So that's been fun, and it's great to kind of see like kids getting active, learning something new, even in these really hard times when obviously it's pretty hard being a student going in and out of lockdowns and, being stuck at home every day. So I think it's cool that you can still learn new skills and make sure kids are staying active and not getting into all these sedentary habits at a young age as well.
And I think it's so important to, even because it's lockdown, you feel like, oh, I have to do this, you feel like you have to do so many things. Just taking it like one day at a time feels like it's not so daunting as well. Like, okay, I'll just do a 20-minute workout today, and then it actually feels all good, I'm sure it's such a big change to do like maybe 4 hours a day down to like 20 minutes, but doing something is way better than being a memory foam person.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's what like I struggled with in the first lockdown, was putting too much pressure on myself, thinking that I needed to just try and like emulate my training week within lockdown, which is just like not possible, because like what are you going to do for 2 hours a day that's like similar to on-court badminton training? Like you just get bored. It's just hard. So I think just like kind of bringing your goals down a little bit, and trying to set achievable ones, and also being kind to yourself and not beating yourself up if you don't get something done, or setting like really unrealistic expectations as well.
For sure. Yeah. And no, I don't know what else to say. It was just crazy. I was like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, but it's kind of like just our podcast. We were like, we'll record 3 episodes.
We're like, let's start with an intro. let's just try and do this intro. But like that kind of applies to being an athlete in general, kind of how hard you're pushing, and like what you can like not feeling guilty about if you're not there mentally, that kind of thing. Do you remember when I was in that hotel quarantine, and we did that Apple Watch challenge where we had to meet our goal each day? Mine was set at like 1,000 calories,
and mine was like at 600.
Yeah, but you were injured, and we were just like, by the end we were just like, oh my gosh, I'm so over this, but we're too competitive that we just had to like meet the goal every day. So we're doing like body weight squats at like 11 p.m. at night, just trying to get to our goal.
It was like 10 p.m. and you haven't closed your ring yet. You have like 50 kilojoules left to do, or calories, whatever it was. And I was like, no. And then I'd like walk around, go to the fridge, come back, and then they'll be like, what are you doing? Why aren't you sleeping? I'm like, I'm just walking around. I gotta close my ring.
So it's like that. Yeah. I mean, like it was good because we pushed each other, but it was also like we
too
kind
much.
Of yeah. So it's finding that balance of when you feel like you can push, and when you feel like you just need to chill and have no expectations.
Yeah. I mean, this is like probably the only time where the world literally forces you to slow things down, like forces you. I mean, you can't really do much.
And I've been hearing from podcasts and news, different things, that like all this time kind of with yourself and with your own thoughts has given so many people different self-awareness that they're, you know, they're changing their careers, they're quitting their jobs, they're moving from the city to the country, all these kind of things. Because usually, like, you know, the rat race of life, just you're just onto the next. You don't have time to kind of assess what you really want, what you like, what really brings you joy. And now people realize that, you know, you only have so much time, you only have so many hours in the day, things that you can give to the world, and people are just like figuring out what they actually want to do with their time and what lights up their passions.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I totally agree. And a lot of people are actually, like, unfortunately losing their jobs, and then they get creative and they find back to what actually, you know, what they were passionate about, like you said. And it's really cool to see so many businesses and so many different ideas that are popping up. So it's good and bad in lockdown. But how to train? Back to the topic. How do you train during lockdown?
Let's try to do some like badminton specific things. So how can you improve your badminton even if maybe you can't get on court in the lockdown, do you think? What's some things you've been implementing?
Well, I made a best friend during lockdown. I really wanted to work on my defense.
Who is she?
It was a he, actually. It was a he.
I'm your best friend.
His name is Wallace.
Wallace and Gromit. All right. Wallace the unbeatable wall.
Yeah, Wallace the unbeatable wall. Yeah, my family, when our garage doesn't have a really big space, but like we had a wall, it was concrete, so it was perfect, because then my neighbors wouldn't, or like if you have neighbors, usually people live in apartments and stuff, right? So concrete was like perfect. I was like, cool, they can't hear me to like bang this wall. And because it was like a small area, I really had to focus on getting it to one area, and I couldn't like move back if it was too quick. So I feel that really helped me, and could help the others too if you want to work on your defense, because wall hits is honestly the best thing that you can do for racket work if you don't have a sparring partner.
Using heavy racket and light racket, right? What are some example intervals that you used and drills?
Oh,
you sent me a program, actually. I was following.
Yeah, I know. I remember. I saw you like a spreadsheet and stuff. At first, I was actually just trying to get a rally. To be honest, I was like, "Whoa, I'm not used to this." And
I think yours was like, it was like 30 heavy, 30 light, and then repeat.
30 heavy, yeah. Repeat 3 times or something like that. It was like 30 seconds, 30 off. Yeah.
And so you would, I think from memory, it was like you just do like backhand kind of defense, backhand to forehand. Did you change?
I think this was the footwork program you're talking about for me. This is shadow footwork.
I thought we were hitting against the wall, heavy racket.
No, but I think the program that you're talking about right now, the one I sent you, was probably my like shadow footwork. But my my wall hits was like just backhand to start with, and then eventually I could like control like backhand, forehand if I could.
Okay. 30, no, this is a shadow footwork / racket work. Yeah. So if you didn't want to hit against the wall, what we're talking about is just doing the racket skill without a shuttle. So just practicing the swing. So with that, we would do 30 seconds heavy racket, 30 seconds light racket. And for example, we would do backhand driving, then alternating backhand to forehand driving, and then like backhand front court kills, forehand front court kills, then switching backhand to forehand front court kills. That kind of thing. So just keeping the forearm working, trying to build that hand strength and that forearm strength.
Exactly.
And one of the things I've always loved to do, regardless of lockdown or not, is just hold a racket and just work on my grip change. So working on like smoothly changing from backhand to forehand, kind of having the racket around my body and changing it to kind of awkward positions as well. I think anyone on a badminton court would know that the shuttle can come to really awkward places, and it's really hard to kind of get the racket in the
like
angle
your
that you want.
Area.
Yeah. I have a racket right here, actually. That's why I love to just hold the racket and just like switch and, you know, have it like here and my arms over on a really awkward position and just trying to get the angle always facing over. So I like to just sit and change my grip a lot. And that's something I learned from Setiana, actually. And since I have partnered her, my grip change and my like feeling in my fingers has improved so much just from getting that practice in and feeling the grip more, as opposed to what I used to do where I was like fully, you know, holding it forehand and then doing a huge twist to the backhand and being like very stuck with one grip or another, not having those in between kind of angles.
Yeah, whenever I have students and they always ask me, they're like, oh, what can I do at home? And I said, honestly, work on your grip change if you can, because the quicker you get used to your fingers, the easier it is. Because people don't realize that finger work is insane. Like, it's so important in badminton. It's not
Yeah.
just your whole arm.
A few other things you can do for your grip is if you have a squash ball, you can do like different pushing methods with that. That's another thing that Setiana told me. So like pushing the thumb down, pushing like 3 fingers down, squishing it inwards, and then like pushing the thumb like at the pointy end, different ones like that. Or, you know, those kind of grip squisher.
Oh, yeah.
Those things. So those are good as well for your grip strength.
It could honestly be anything. It could also be just like a tennis ball. Anything squishy.
Yeah, pretty much squishing anything. You can just do it in the air. You can just open and close your fingers.
Yeah. Lauren Smith did a good one where she was just doing this to her fingers, like putting them
just one finger to the thumb.
One finger to the other. I'm trying to explain it for the people who are not watching our YouTube.
Yeah.
So if you watch our YouTube, you can see what we're doing with our hands.
And then if you have like weights as well, you can do different wrist circles, like forehand, wrist extension, flexion, all those things as well.
Yeah, so many things.
And then of course,
your favorite, my favorite, watching videos.
Yeah.
I love watching games.
How to improve while being lazy. The lazy girl. Lazy girl.
How to stay in bed while still training.
How to justify to your coach to never get out of bed.
No, what about us? So we talk about videos, right? How do you find your videos, and what do you look for when you try and learn from the videos?
I don't like watching videos when I lose that often, so I like to watch the ones where I won. But so for me, a lot of it is watching kind of when I made the errors and seeing why I made it. Like, was it my body positioning? Was it the shot that I hit before it? Was that poor quality that set me up for the next one? Was it just the choice of where I hit and they were already there? That kind of thing. But most of the stuff that I watch for is more biomechanics and like the shot that I played and my technique as well, and trying to pick up on those things and address them in the gym and on court as well. And then similarly, I love watching other players who say I identify that my like round the head drop shot is not as good as it should be, like I'm not leaning out or I'm not getting the quality, then I'll try and find a player who I think does it really well. I'll watch theirs and I'll try and compare and figure out like what I need to do to kind of get closer towards their shot as well. Maybe, you know, sometimes it's not possible if like physically they're way more flexible than I am or something like that. So I think it's good to find a player who's similar to your body type so that you're kind of working within your means of what's achievable. But I have like a little notebook where I have players and then a specific shot that they do that I want to do like them. So yeah, I think using other players as inspiration and learning from them is super helpful as well with video analysis.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, not everyone is spoiled as like you, Gron, who have videos of you all over YouTube. So people can definitely learn from other games, and also just how they position themselves after each shot. I think that's so important. I think I learned that a lot while watching during my injury. I was like, oh, sometimes I get so lazy and I play a shot, I don't even look at it. But then when you see the top players do it, you're like, oh, that's probably what I should be doing next time. You know, like tactical
and that's why
things.
videoing yourself is so important, because sometimes the perception in your head of what you're doing is so different to what you're actually doing. And without that, you know, that outside view of what you're actually doing, it's really hard to understand, you know, what your coach might be telling you where you think you're doing it perfectly, but you're like way off.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And what else? How to train during your lockdown? Eat properly. I reckon eating properly helped me so much, because before if I'm not eating well, I just don't have as much energy as well to do things. I get drained so quickly, and then I'm like, okay, I'm tired, I'll just go sleep.
I think it's good trying to keep your healthy habits as much as you can in lockdown. So like a regular sleep routine is really helpful. I know it's so tempting to sleep at like 1 a.m. each night and wake up at 11 or whatever, but trying to keep the kind of routine that you're used to will just maintain healthy habits, really. Yeah.
So we should just probably like do a little summary of what we were just talking about. So routine, right? That was one of the main things that really helped us get motivated. Find a buddy if you can't do it on your own. Because honestly, it's like going to the gym on your own. It takes a different kind of motivation to go by yourself at 4 in the morning or 5 in the morning. But if you have someone there and then it's like 5 in the morning, you're like, oh, I have to sleep. But then in your head, you're like, no, they're going to show up there and I'm not going to be there. And it just feels so bad. So find someone. But if you don't have friends I'm kidding. I have friends like you, Gronya.
Yeah.
No, yeah, definitely find
I'll just
someone.
lay in bed and be like, Justine, your knees are going in. Squat lower.
Visual coach. Yeah. Or join a like online workout thing. There's so many online on Instagram and it's insane. So many influencers are doing their workouts live. Goal setting. That's one of them. Do mini
Even
goals
with,
like I said.
Yeah, even with like online things, there's a lot of badminton ones out there as well. Badminton videos on footwork and stroke practice and all that kind of thing. I guess footwork was one we didn't really cover. You can pretty much do that anywhere. Obviously, on concrete, it's going to be a bit harder on your joints, but you can always do agility training, different intervals of, like fast feet, speed ladder stuff. Like when I was little, I taped down a speed ladder in our hallway. So that's still there. Haven't used it, but you can always get creative with different things like that. And footwork is something that you can do pretty much anywhere, anytime, and get a good workout in and improve something on court that way.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I think this is also a time to take a step back and really think about what's hurting you on court and working on that outside the court. For example, if you're constantly getting injuries on your shoulder, this is the perfect time to, work on it, or like the muscles around it. But again, we're not professionals. Oh, maybe Gron, you can give give some exercise advice on this.
I am qualified.
There you go. Yeah.
Stay tuned for something.
But yeah, get in contact with your physio or like your exercise scientists. And they can help you out. So yeah.
And if you are struggling, like even like severely mentally, there's every country will have their own relevant like lifeline or things that you can call as well if you are in that position. Otherwise, just reaching out to the team around you, like your coaches, your parents, if you're at school, like other students, teachers, colleagues, whatever, because usually you're not alone. Other people are in the same boat in terms of motivation or struggling with balancing different things, whether that's like school, work, whatever it is. So, and
don't be afraid to ask for help. Like if you might feel bad for the first 5 days, you didn't do anything. And then you're like, oh, I don't know how to tell my coach I haven't done anything. I'm pretty sure they would have rather you told them you didn't do anything so they can help you like overcome what's stopping you from doing anything. So do not be afraid to ask for help because that's like one of the best ways to get better.
Cool. All right. So we like to, with this podcast, now add a little task or challenge to the end of the episode. And Justine, what is going to be the challenge or task that you offer this week? Once again, we have not pre-planned this. We are winging it. So if someone is in lockdown, what do you think you would like to hear from someone who had your wisdom about how to handle lockdown?
Thanks for putting me on this spot. Another day and no planning. No, I'm kidding. I reckon I think everybody can they should be able to find a wall or something. It can honestly just be like less than a meter or just a square. If you can hit against the wall 50 times in a row, that would be so good. It would honestly be so good. So that's my challenge for the week. Try and hit against the wall 50 times in a row consecutively. Okay. It can't just be like 1, 2, stop, let's go. I don't even think I can do it. Nah, surely I can. Surely.
That's your challenge.
That's my challenge, I guess.
You gotta lead the way. Okay, I'll give a challenge as well. My challenge is going to be that you need to watch one of your own matches and then one of your idols or your inspiration, the player you looked up to, their match, and try and compare a few things about what they do well and what you could do better.
Yeah. And also, if you don't have any videos of yourself, this is probably a sign that you should video yourself in the future for your next match, because it's honestly so helpful Don't feel
Yeah.
bad that you're setting up a camera in front of all your friends. Like, screw them. You just want to improve. Okay. So just do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
For your own good.
If they judge
right.
you for your filming or photo habits, like some people judge me, then they're not true friends.
My God. But anyway, I hope you guys let us know how that went on, how this episode went, and if there's anything else you want us to talk about, please drop a comment below or message any of us on Instagram or at the Badminton Podcast. And to wrap things up, outro. Thank you for listening to Badminton Lights Out by the Badminton Podcast.
Start again. Outro. Outro.
Okay, we're gonna get better at ending these episodes because I feel like we can talk
Yeah, well,
forever.
you were up first. You just need to do the outro, right?
Okay. Here we go. This is it. I'm done.
Don't look at me. Just we can't look at each other.
What do you mean I can't look at you? You're
No,
literally
like
right
we
in
make
front
each
of
other
me.
laugh. You gotta
Okay,
just
okay.
focus.
Thank you for listening to Badminton Lights Out by the Badminton Podcast.
We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed recording it.
And don't forget to like, comment, and share this episode because it's available on all platforms, so you have no excuse not to listen to it next time. Follow us on Instagram. The handle is at the Badminton Podcast, no spaces.
And subscribe to our YouTube channel, Badminton Lights Out, and stay tuned for our next episode. See ya.
See you. Peace.